Welcome back to Twins Talk Tech Leadership Podcast. We have a special guest today. Now, if you are anyone that has anything to do with any of the hyperscalers out there today, specifically one named Microsoft, you're going to want to pay attention. Our next guest has spent years experiencing success as a partner of one of the biggest hyperscalers in the world today, one of the fastest growing and biggest cloud vendors in the world today. And that, of course, is Microsoft. Now, no matter where you live, no matter where you're at with your Microsoft journey, he has made it his personal mission to help partners like yourself to become successful and navigate this very confusing program that's within Microsoft. Now you say, I'll sign up with Microsoft, I'll become a partner, but now what? Well, today, Rob Fagan, who's here, is an author, a speaker, a founder at Venvito Consulting, and he is a highly sought out expert that actually helps partners grow their practice with Microsoft. Now, Rob has focused his practice not only to help founders and individual contributors, but help you to make sense out of something that's very complex. Rob, welcome to the Twins Talk Tech Leadership Podcast. How are you?
Thanks, guys. I'm great. I'm excited for our discussion today.
Awesome. Now, Rob, before we get you to come on and tell people the secret of how to make millions of dollars with Microsoft, I think we need to talk about your background a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your leadership journey and how did you land in this unique world of Microsoft technology?
Yeah, it's a great question. And for me, I started off crazy enough in the mainframe programming business. So we're going back a few years now. And for me, I started in that down that path and got introduced to Microsoft, back in the early 2000s and never looked back. I saw that as sort of the innovation going on. And I shifted my career and really started to focus on Microsoft, and both from a technical standpoint and then more so from a sales standpoint, right through to leadership roles inside of Microsoft partners. To the last role I took before starting this business was co-founding a Microsoft partner. So it's been a fun journey. I just love the innovation that Microsoft brings to the market. So I'm excited.
This is David, Rob, and I appreciate you giving us a snapshot of your background, and you're very modest because there's so much you've done, so much success you found that you said, look, I've got a opportunity here to create this niche, to carve into so many different companies out there, so many different organizations that say, look, we want to get on the Microsoft marketplace. And it's not enough just to get on the marketplace. It's not enough just to say, okay, I'm done. They got to find you. They got to figure out what you could do to help them grow their business as well. But before we get all there, you're going to touch on this with your company. Tell us a little bit about Venvito and why you said this is the time for me to start this company to help other organizations find success.
Sure. Yeah. For me, it's really been a mission. I mean, as I said, I've been in the ecosystem for 20 plus years now. And there's always been one sort of thing I sought after I was going after, which was to go to market with Microsoft. I wanted to be shoulder to shoulder with Microsoft. I wanted them to reach out to me, to bring me into the fold. And so that was sort of the big promise, the thing I was going after as an individual contributor, as a leader, and then as a co-founder of a Microsoft partner. But there's 400,000 other partners that want that exact same dream. So for me, it was really trying to peel back the onion. What is it that you need to do? Who do you need to be? How do you need to show up? And put all of those pieces together so that I could repeat that process. I could make it a repeatable, consistent way to show up, to add value to the Microsoft ecosystem, and then to realize that dream of being that go-to-market partner with Microsoft. So that's really what Venvito is founded on now, is sharing all of those learnings and teachings with other partners. I think it's so important for people to understand that. And, we're all investing in the ecosystem together, and we just need to understand there's a set of things to do and to execute on consistently that can make you successful.
This is Danny, and one of the things I hear that a lot of times we tend to forget is we're kind of spoiled today when it comes to this age of the internet, where almost every answer is at your fingertip. And for short answers, you can probably use ChatGPT. You can find little things here and there. You can even go to a meetup group to meet other people that are other entrepreneurs like you. But when it comes to navigating this thing called the Microsoft ecosystem, which is so complex and many, many different ways to go. I don't care how many times you go online and you search. I don't care how many times you go and talk to a lot of people. If someone doesn't build the framework for you, I
Right.
guarantee you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So, Rob, real quick, can you tell us one quick strategy or one quick approach an organization should make today if they really want to go all in and work with Microsoft? Because there's so many different ways you can get started, but just give one today. We're not going to give all your secrets out there, but just like right now, I'm overwhelmed. What do I do?
Yeah, yeah,
Rob, come
yeah,
to the rescue. Just give me one thing. What would that one thing be?
Well, I think before I answer the one thing, I think it's important to understand that there's something Microsoft is looking for from every partner, and you need to understand what that is for you. So I've summed it up in a framework called the three R's. And those three R's are revenue, relevance, and relationships. So you really need to understand, what am I bringing to the Microsoft ecosystem and Microsoft sellers specifically in those three categories? Am I helping them sell something? Am I bringing a relevant discussion or a relevant service or product? And then finally is, what relationships do I have that I can share? So that's the first thing that you need to understand. But then to address your question more head on, is that you have to show up with a very specific mindset. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace, and to your earlier point, there's so much information. I mean, there's millions and millions of pages of what to do, how to do, what programs to sign up for, what programs you need to be in. But at the start, at the very beginning, you need to have this mindset of how you're going to show up. And I call that extreme ownership as one of the key mindsets, is that you have to show up knowing that Microsoft is looking to you to own the engagement. They're looking for you to be their easy button. So that's first and foremost, you have to understand that's where you're going to show up. You have to show up with that extreme ownership mindset.
This is this is David, by the way, Rob, and I love that because one of the things I was going to ask you about was tell me about the three R's, and I saw that and I love that you did that. But it
Yeah.
wasn't just saying here's a framework. It's not just talking about revenue, relevance, the relationships. It's also what you said, having the right mindset. I love that. The right mindset said, look, I'm going to take ownership of this. I'm not going to just
Mhm.
let them say, try this program, try that program, because as you've stated, there are a lot of different ways to work with Microsoft, but you've
Yeah.
got to find out how do you position yourself to become the go-to organization, the go-to voice, because there's a lot of options out there. Talk about that mindset because for so many, I can imagine at least the smaller partners, you come in, you get this sense of overwhelm, like Dan mentioned earlier, but then you
Mhm.
say to yourself, well, how do I become that? How do I own that if I've never
Yeah.
done it before? How do you coach and guide companies to get to that point where they say, yes, I have that mindset. I have that conviction that I want to be this, that I can be this. Now I know what value I bring to Microsoft, not just the value I hope to get from Microsoft.
Right. And so there's a lot to unpack there, but we talked about that extreme ownership mindset. The next mindset that you really need to show up with is what I refer to as a win-win-win relationship. We hear about it a lot, where it's, oh, you need to have that win-win relationship. Well, in working with Microsoft, it's really a three-way relationship now. Your customer has to win first and foremost, but then you have to be aware that Microsoft needs to win in that relationship as well as you do. So you as the partner want to win. You need to understand that you're there to help Microsoft move their ball forward as well, too, not just to close a deal for yourself, but to help Microsoft move their mission forward. So that's number two. And then the third, obviously, is that the customer needs to win. The customer needs to be the one at the end of the day that takes advantage of your great service or your great product, but that needs to also be in service of helping Microsoft achieve their goal and you as a partner achieve your goal. So it's really bringing all of that together and then just wrapping that in that extreme ownership, where it's like you're saying to Microsoft, I will take care of this. I will run this engagement with this customer right from the start to the finish.
This is Danny, and I really appreciate you talking about that. And one of the things I see as a very worthwhile and valuable partner is that they're willing to take the initiative and run with it. And they
Yeah.
bring me in on the back end as more of a, yes, I will concur that what this partner said is indeed correct, or I'm here to add value, not start the value. And that makes a partner to me much more valuable when they're willing to do the work up front, when they're willing to say, I listened to this thing called Microsoft Inspire, formerly WPC, way back in the day. And this is what Microsoft said is important for them for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And that's when I need to start asking myself as the CEO of my company, what can I do and my organization do to make sure that we are hitting these initiatives that Microsoft cares about, but at the same time, making sure the customer adopts this. It's one thing to sell solutions, but if the customer is not adopting it, then they're not going to go ahead and renew it the next year. And so I appreciate you talking about that. And I think it comes back to the mindset, as you talked about. What is the mindset of this CEO? What is the mindset of this business partner? What is the mindset of this Microsoft partner? And what are they thinking about? And how are they going to go to market the right way? And so you think you're saying the right words, Rob. You're saying the right things. And I know a lot of times when partners hear you say that, they don't like to hear that, because that means I have to take the action. I have to take the initiative. I have to be the one to go and open the door and say, hi, would you like to go on a date with me? Not the other way around. And so I appreciate you saying that. Can you give a quick example? Don't name the partner name, but give a quick example when that partner said, wow, the light bulb just went off, and wow, Rob, I know what you're saying now. I'm going to go do it. And then how were they able to be successful because of that?
Yeah, no, that's great, and I'd love to share that because it's real world. It's what partners do, and so I was working with a partner very recently, and they had an opportunity to present to one or two what's referred to as SMC, or Microsoft's version of small to medium corporate business, and they got on, they shared their story, they shared their message, and they shared clearly how they helped that Microsoft seller, and they went through a couple sales cycles together, and then had the opportunity to present to almost 100 Microsoft sellers because they did it so well. They were so easy to work with. They had packaged up their solution. It was clear to Microsoft how they benefited. It was clear how the customer was benefiting. And now they're ingrained in the SMC organization. They're a go-to partner that, Microsoft just picks up the phone. If the customer says, this is what we're looking for, they know this is the partner to call. And they put a lot of things together to get there, but once they did, it was it's that magical place now of going shoulder to shoulder as Microsoft's go-to partner.
This is David, Rob, and I'm going to ask the question that everybody wants to know. Besides, how do I become that go-to partner? We talk about money. Let's talk about how we're going to talk about incentives. Microsoft has not only so many programs out there, but they have ways to incentivize the right type of what I call solution in the marketplace. So in terms of partners driving profit through incentives by Microsoft, how clear is that structure? Is there multiple structures out there depending on what level you are in terms of what you're providing? But how can they understand the incentive structure to optimize their offering, to explore co-selling opportunities? How can they drive more profit and maximize the opportunities that Microsoft is providing through their programs?
Yeah, and it's a great question. It's actually one that there's been a lot of talk about in the last 12 months with the big change Microsoft made from the historical gold and silver partners to now the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. So that was a massive change, and that disrupted the partner community in a big way. But I will say, now the partners that are really succeeding and the partners that get it understand that you need to leverage that Microsoft Partner Program. Now, that new program, that's a mouthful, the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. But nonetheless, that is where you have to start. Your journey has to start there. You have to invest in that program. You need to understand the program. And I'm the first to admit there's lots of pieces to the pie. It's not perfect yet, but they have made just huge steps forward in the shift from gold and silver to this new program. And now they're expanding the program to be inclusive of all types of partners in the Microsoft ecosystem. So it continues to grow. But then, to specifically get to your question, David, is that that's the impetus for all your incentives. If you're not part of the program, I don't want to say you're completely disqualified, but it makes it very difficult for you to leverage the incentive programs that Microsoft brings. And those incentives are extremely lucrative if you get it right and you understand how to leverage them. So just my advice right out of the gate is get familiar with the Cloud Partner Program, understand how it works, get your solution designations, and go from there.
This is David again, Rob, and I'm going to try to ask a follow up to that. And to a certain extent, it brings me back to one of the things that Dan was driving through a program that he started, a nonprofit, and we had some Microsoft team members come on to talk about the shift, the change
Mhm.
from the gold and silver, and I think a lot of partners were feeling like we put in all this work, we were trying to become this status or gain this status, and now we got to try something else, and really reassuring them, no, it's not that you got to try something else. It's adopting a different mindset. We still want you to find success. We still
Yeah.
want you to be able to work with us to make sure this works for everybody. So let's talk about that. How can they get more exposure at the Microsoft Marketplace? Are there any strategies they can use other than saying, now let's start? I don't want to say from square one because there's some
Yeah.
framework that's already there, but what are some things they could do to, let's say, gain more exposure if they feel like we're behind the eight ball?
Sure. So, well, first and foremost, the program, one of the reasons it changed was because it became difficult for customers to understand, how do I differentiate between this goal partner and that goal partner? So it was very confusing for our customers to really understand what made a good partner, how a partner stood out in the eyes of both Microsoft and in the eyes of the customer. So I think that change was very positive. They grouped, and there's now 6 solution designations. So you can now play in the place that you're, best known for. Microsoft says your superpower, and know where your superpower is, fit in there. So that's the first thing, is to differentiate yourself in that way by landing that solution designation that you're best known for. And you alluded to the marketplace. And Microsoft has got a really big push for having partners list their offers, whether you're an ISV or an SI, into the marketplace. And so that's the next big step that partners need to understand, is that not only do we need the solution designation, but we need to show up in the marketplace, which is another avenue for customers to go and find partners. So it's another avenue that the buyer from our customer is using as a resource to find good partners. So, step number one, get into the Cloud Partner Program. Step number two, get onto the marketplace. And in the marketplace, you need to think about how you show up. There's in market, there's co-sell, there's Azure IP co-sell incentivized. And I know I'm throwing a lot of terms around, but there's just ways to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. So those are a couple things that I would do right out of the gate.
This is Danny. I'm going to jump in because I know David and we've been competing to talk since we were first born. And I know if I don't jump in real quick, Dave's going to steal the spotlight and ask Rob more questions before I can. Now, one of the things I really appreciate you doing the breakdown, Rob, is so important. As a partner, differentiating ourselves is very important. Creating the solution is very important. Specializing is very important, because when there's a crowd of partners out there, how do you stand out? And then leveraging P2P is also going to be very important. So I want to encourage our audience out there today. Look, you being specialized is a reason why you can charge more, and is a reason why you're looked on highly, much more highly looked upon than someone else. So please specialize. Microsoft loves it. Your customer's going to love it, because they know when they're going to spend a lot of money, they want to spend the money on the person that can do that one specific function that they're looking for. So I want to encourage everybody to do that. Now let's go ahead and segment a little bit off to something that I personally love, which is coaching. And one of the things we do very well in our business is coaching. But you have a mastermind group, and I want our audience to hear about this mastermind group, because I think it's phenomenal, where you present your 3M framework that you talked a little bit about. This method consists of the mindset, the messaging, and then the mechanics. I want you to talk a little bit about your mastermind group, a little bit about the 3M. You don't have to give it all away, but what I'm trying to do is make sure our audience understands that as you continue to grow as a business, you always need continuous education. You need to continue to improve your organization, improve yourself. But as well as the CEO, you need to be part of a group with a whole bunch of other people that are really going after the same goals that you have. So Rob, please tell us a little bit more about this mastermind group and the 3Ms.
Yeah, thank you. I will. So for me, in my business today, I found I was working mainly with partners that were in sort of this 10 to $100 million range with Microsoft. And so I was able to work with them one-on-one and really get deep into their business, understand their strategy, understand how we could apply the 3M framework to really help catapult their business forward. But in looking back, I realized that there's this huge set of partners that really don't, they're just getting started on their journey. They may be, 500,000, 1.5 million in revenue, but really just starting out on their journey. And there's not a lot of great resources out there for them. You don't have access to what Microsoft refers to as a partner development manager. You don't have much access to Microsoft at all, really internally. You're getting a lot of your data through the Microsoft website, and that's really challenging. So I tried to find a solution, and that's where the mastermind came from. Was let's bring together lots of small partners, together that really focus on that P2P motion and really are looking to grow their business with other partners and share with them the same 3M framework, but just in smaller bite-sized pieces that are more relevant for where they are in their journey. Because some of those larger customers are in a different place and need to apply the 3M framework differently. But when it's still very applicable, even early in your journey with Microsoft. So that's why I created that mastermind, was to make it more accessible to the larger ecosystem. So think about those 400,000 partners. A very large percentage of them are 5, 10, 15, 20 people. So really small companies in the eyes of Microsoft. And my goal is to help them move their mission forward, help them move their business forward, and really achieve that promise of going to market with Microsoft. So that's really the story behind the mastermind.
Rob, this is David. I love it. And I'll tell you why I love it, because I've not been in the space anywhere near the amount of time you and my twin have been. I've been kind of grafted in because we're twins, but we've been around some organizations, and to hear them say, wow, we're going to get a designated PM, a partner manager for Microsoft, that's the game changer. But these are larger organizations. And you're
Right.
saying, look, I could take that and I could bring that down and scale it to where we can all win together in this mastermind, where we can
Right.
understand how that works, because it is easier to be able to navigate something as vast as that ecosystem when you have someone there hand in hand and they get incentivized when you become successful. And I love how we're trying to pull in a lot of different communities out there, maybe working through different IMCP, the Black Partner Initiatives. There's so many things out there. And yet to be able to say, hey, I've got a PM, that's awesome. But you're saying, look, I could bring that same framework here in this mastermind. That's awesome. I want to ask you from this perspective, for someone who's been in leadership for a long time, what's keeping you on the edge? Obviously, you're still learning the greatest speeds and feats from Microsoft and passing it on to your clients. But what keeps you on the edge? Are you reading any specific books? Are you doing any type of podcast? Are you doing any type of certain mantras? What are you doing to keep Rob Fagan on the edge?
Yeah, no, it's for me, it's a real passion in the Microsoft ecosystem. I love learning about it, like you said, but more so, I love hearing from other people. I like getting other people's perspectives. So I try and interview somebody from Microsoft at least once a week to hear what they're doing, to hear what they're challenged with, and to really understand how we can help them as a partner community, and then bring that back to my community of partners, both through LinkedIn and through my one-on-one coaching, as well as the mastermind coaching. So for me, I love to get information from as many sources as possible. And conversations like this are just so invaluable.
This is David again, Rob, and I am going to kind of let Dan jump in, okay, because I know how he gets. But here's what I want to ask you. Thank you for sharing that, because part of keeping yourself on the edge is having that hunger to say, I'm going to keep learning.
Yeah.
And for me, in terms of what I specialize in as a public speaking coach, it's not to say, well, just take my template, take my brother and I in our book and just use this. We've got to keep learning ourselves. Technology now becomes more of a factor in how we coach and train our clients. It's important to do that. I want to ask you, are there any perhaps success stories, or maybe a story you might want to share? And then just know you're going to have one of our books being sent to you in the mail, because I want to be able to make sure that you know that we want to partner with you on many levels, Rob. Because for me, when we talk about partner success strategies, it's all about how do we tie in the right type of relationships, not just Microsoft, but those who can actually help be a catalyst to that. But I wanted to kind of throw that out to you as a thought, because to me, it's important to make sure that we have those relationships, we have those tie-ins. But any success stories or anything you might want to share to encourage our audience to know that, hey, this mastermind is something they should get involved with?
Yeah, and whether you get involved in this mastermind or my mastermind, it's really about the community. You really, to succeed, we all need a community. So, I partner with other folks in the Microsoft ecosystem. I partner with other partners, and it's because I value the relationship. I value the information getting from all different places. And I personally have a couple different coaches to help me improve. So, I can't tell you enough. I just can't stress enough how important it is to get that outside perspective, to hear from other people that, have your best interest at heart, but have that sort of outsider perspective that they can bring to you. So for me, that's just a huge part of my personal success and how I try and share that success with my partner community, is being that voice for them.
This is Danny, and I really appreciate you saying that, Rob, because when I think about the best athletes around the world,
Mhm.
they all have coaches. And I think about Tiger Woods. I think about Rory McIlroy. And I think about all these different golfers, even Phil Mickelson. And people may not know, Phil, just like LeBron, they're right-handed, but they shoot left-handed, right? And Phil's growing up, his father only had left-handed clubs, so that's why he started playing golf left-handed, even though he's right-handed. You think about LeBron James, he shoots right-handed, but he's actually left-handed. But all these individuals have coaches because we're so into playing the sport of business, the sport of life. Sometimes we need an outside perspective from someone who was successful, be able to point out the little things we can just adjust to be successful. And if you're out there listening and say, hey, Danny, I think I'm going to hit my quota this year. Our company's going to do well. We're going to hit our goals for the year. I challenge you. Don't wait until the last 2 weeks of the year to see where you're at.
Right.
Start making those course corrections right now. Maybe it's one more call today. I'm exhausted. I had a long day. It's 10 hours of working today or whatever it may be. I just want to go home. You know what? Make that one more call.
Right.
Make that one more call today. That's 5 more calls of the week. That's going to be 20 more calls to 25 more calls per month. Just make that one more. If one closes, what would that do for your business? Just pushing through a little bit. So I really appreciate you talking about the fact that even you who are coaching and helping these business partners who become more successful with working with Microsoft, you also are doing the same for yourself. And that leads me into really going back to your website. In your business and what you do at Venvito, you have this thing called the Partner Score Worksheet. And I'd
Yeah.
like you to kind of give our audience a little bit of insight of what is this Partner Score Worksheet? How can I leverage it in order to give my business insight and help me to take the right steps to move forward with my relationship with Microsoft?
Yeah, well, it actually, you touched on it earlier. And so that was where that was born from, is that a lot of times it's not this huge shift we need to make in our businesses. It's not these huge changes we need to make. It's these subtle things. It's these one little tweak here or one tweak there. And so what I tried to do was put together a little worksheet that said, here's 15, I think, boxes that you need to check with Microsoft, and rate yourself on each one of these to give you an idea. Oh, maybe this is the place that I need to make this subtle tweak, versus, oh, I need to go and re-engineer my entire business. Maybe you just need a different KPI. Or to your point, maybe you just need to make a few more calls to Microsoft. Like maybe instead of thinking, oh, I need to cold call 10 customers, well, maybe do the cold call of 10 customers and then reach out to 2 Microsoft people on that same day. Because Microsoft wants to hear from you. They want to hear from great partners. They want to understand. I talked about relevance earlier in our conversation. And when they get that partner that brings a relevant topic and a relevant solution to the table, they want to hear that. So the whole point is really to help guide partners in where they can tweak their messaging, where they can tweak their process or their KPIs. That's really the goal and the mission of that worksheet, is to give people sort of some direction to head.
This is Danny again, and I really appreciate you breaking that down. For me, it's so easy when I see red, green, yellow, red light, green light, yellow light, or I see
Yeah.
1 through 10. When I see those things, it helps me to figure out what I need to work on, what I need to do, and how to get better. And so I think the score worksheet is just a great idea, not just
Mhm.
for any partner. I think it's a great idea for your life. to sit down and be able to
Yeah.
ask yourself, hey, how am I doing with getting to my goals? What do I need to do to get to the goals? What do I need to do better? My brother and I are doing this thing where we continuously push each other. When it says, hey, did you do 30 minutes of exercise today? Did you do 30 minutes of walking today? Did you have, this type of, uh, we call it energy juice in the morning? Did you do that? So we call each
Yeah.
other accountable every day because each day adds up to ultimately getting to where we want to be as our final goal. Now, there is something that you have done that most people can take advantage of today. And this is something I call unique. And why is it unique? Because why we pay coaches and why we pay professors to universities, why we pay certain individual organizations is because they've collected years of data, years of experience, and they collapse all together to give it to me. And that's saving me time, that's saving me headache, that's saving me research, that saves me all this stuff that I could fail in because I'm
Yeah.
getting all that information of success. Now you gathered all this together into all these trainings you've done. Can you tell us a little bit more about all these trainings you've done with the Microsoft sellers? And I think the website you have provided, so people can experience it, and it's going to be www.partnerwithsmc.com. And I want people to understand that, look, it's not just going to Rob's website, not going to Vivito's, not just being part of the mastermind group. He's giving you so many resources to help you to be successful. And one is a collection of all the training with the Microsoft seller. So Rob, please tell us a little bit more about that. What's included? What is it? What is it about? And when people get access to this, what should they expect?
Yeah. So for me, I think I mentioned earlier, I love to interview Microsoft folks. I love to hear their story, but I also love to hear from them what they value in the partner community. So it's one of the things that I'm very intentional about asking all of the people I interview at Microsoft. And what I wanted to do was bring that collection of learnings and thought leadership together into one video training program where people could go and just consume it. And so you get to hear right from Microsoft sellers. So it's not me distilling the information, it's not my viewpoints, it's directly from Microsoft. And so I wanted to share that with the community at large and make all that available to everyone. So whether you're just starting out on your journey or you're, 150 million, $200 million in revenue, these sellers bring a unique perspective, and I wanted to share that. So I put it together in that website called www.partnerwithsmc.com. And so anybody can go and download it and review it and learn from it, take some notes. And I encourage you to really double down on what they share with you because it is valuable. Found it valuable. I know my partner communities found it valuable. So I want to share it with everybody.
Awesome. This is Dan again, Rob. Thank you very much for taking a huge collection of what we call great partner stories, great partner training, and providing it to the community so that they can actually go and witness and learn and gather some insights and hopefully change their mindset to have the
Yeah.
right mindset to say, I can win. And I want to encourage all our members out there today. Yes, at Meetup, we provide a lot of training services, coaching services, but at the end of the day, it's all about mindset first. And what I love about
Yeah.
what Rob is doing as well, he said, hey, it's mindset first. And you got to get your mindset right first. If your mindset is not right, I don't care what type of instruction you're getting. You can get instruction
Right.
directly from Hall of Famers from football, Deion Sanders. It doesn't matter. You can get direct, instruction from, you can even get it from Satya Nadella at
Right.
Microsoft. He can come give you instruction. But if you don't have the right mindset, you're not
It's
going to
all, yeah.
implement. You're not going to do anything. So for partners out there today, don't reach out to Rob if you're not serious about growth. If you're not serious
Yeah.
about being successful. Because if you are serious, I want to tell you, you can reach out to Rob on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/Rob, Fegan, Fagan. So you reach out to him there. You can also go to his website at venvito.net. And if you go to those locations, you can see him, but you can also catch him at a couple of events that he goes to every single year. Now, if you go to anything that has anything to do with partners or anything to do with ISVs, Microsoft related, he's going to be there. In fact, he's going to be coming up to Dallas, Texas pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
So great ultimate partner conference as well. I want to encourage all of you guys to meet with them, sit down, talk with them. And when you meet with them, you're going to realize his sincerity and you're going to realize his passion. And that's the reason why you're going to want to work with them. Rob, thank you for joining us on the Twins Talk Tech Leadership Podcast. We are very happy to have you here. We can't wait to hear your feedback about our book when it gets delivered to your house. But
I'm
at the
looking
same
forward to
time, I
it.
want to encourage everybody, go on LinkedIn today, connect with Rob. We appreciate you, Rob. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, David. This was a lot of fun.